On October 1st, Andrade returned to AEW after being fired by WWE for a Strike 3 contract violation. That means that either you failed the wellness policy a couple of times, reportedly no-showed a couple of events as well, but in the end ended up getting fired. He turned up in AEW. It seemed like he turned over a new page. It was all going good, and then suddenly he disappears. He's not mentioned on AEW TV. He's removed from independent wrestling events, and for a couple of weeks, everything is just completely silent. Up until this Wednesday, when Wrestling Observer revealed that he was actually under a no-compete clause, which he didn't know about. And you might be asking yourself, how on earth would he not know about a non-compete clause? Well, the reason he didn't know is this is the first non-compete clause in WWE history that we know of where the person isn't getting paid. Andrade is getting no pay and he got fired. Previously, that would mean you were immediately a free agent. But when TKO came in, they noticed this and they said, hey, this might be a little bit of a problem. Maybe people will get themselves fired so they can get out of their deals. That's why they added a clause saying that if you got fired, you could not work for another wrestling promotion for an entire 12 months, and that non-compete clause is unpaid. Andrade was not told about this until after he made his AEW debut. And yeah, now AEW are in trouble, Andrade is in trouble, and he's got this really, really long non-compete clause. I'm going to quickly tell you guys what I know about this situation, or at least what I've heard based on the people who I've spoken to. It's highly, highly unlikely that if this is indeed unpaid, that if it went to court, it's very unlikely that it would actually go ahead as anything, right? Because the issue is, technically, in the United States, unpaid long-term non-compete clauses aren't actually legal according to the FTC. But what this will do is drag out a long legal process, which will mean Andrade going back to AEW, well, it's off the cards indefinitely. So when it comes to that, it's kind of worked. But Clark, I want to know your thoughts on all of this and what your thought is on this new tactic by TKO.
I've got more questions than answers, Ben, is the only frustrating part for me. I mean, we're talking about TKO as a company that traded Mighty Mouse, arguably the greatest flyweight in the history of mixed martial arts, to won championships in 2018 for Ben Askren because they thought that he wasn't marketable, which is bizarre to me. So contract situations have always been weird in the TKO, under the TKO umbrella, no matter where you go. I want to know what we're doing here. I don't get it. It feels like a Western movie where, like, you know what I mean? The tumbleweed flies across the middle of the showdown and we don't get to see the showdown. Why? The timing is bizarre. So we have the big debut, and then what did the TKO WWE, brigade view it and go, wait a minute, we thought he was just going to go away when we fired him. He shouldn't be able to show up there. What happened here? I don't know that we'll ever know the whole truth until down the road, because it does seem like it took revisionist history for the WWE to even get to a spot where they're like, wait a minute, not Andrade on AEW again. You fired him. You fired him. It's not like you released him. You fired him. He was fired. That was the verbiage used in all of the reporting. It wasn't like, oh, his contract expired or whatever. No, of course it wasn't, because that's how we're still here. But you fired him. So what? Well, I don't get it. I still don't get it.
It's funny you should say that, actually, Clark, because the rumor on the streets is that WWE also forgot about this clause. In fact, he actually showed up and was announced for multiple independent dates, and it took until he showed up in AEW a few days later for TKO to be like, oh, actually, this clause in your contract says you can't do that.
Yeah,
so even they didn't know about this for days.
It makes no sense. That's where I'm freaked out about it. It's like, Wait, you just thought of it now? Like, how did he even ever end up on AEW TV if that was going to be the case? And if you were going to enact that clause? It's bizarro world to me. This seems closer to something that you'd see on a show that you binge watch on one of the various streaming platforms these days than you would on professional wrestling television. It's like an internet drama. I don't get it. It's got TV show written all over it.
It really does. In fact, it's got a documentary written all over it. Dark Side of the Ring. In 10 years, they can do another season, right? And in that season, they can do Brawl Out, they can do this, and they can do a lot more. Because this situation is going to play out in the courts. I really hope it's public. I don't know if it will be, but I really hope it is, just so we can actually find out what is going on here, because I don't think there's a chance in hell WWE can win this, because you guys in America, Clark, if I know anything about you guys, it's that you guys love your constitution. It's you very much stick to it.
It's not even that we love it so much. It's more of the Constitution is a check and balance. Remember, the Constitution's written as imperfect. So I think the reason that we love it is because it's always up for debate and up to be changed.
The fact is, non-compete clauses are actually unconstitutional.
Yep. It's fact.
So they shouldn't exist even if paid, according to your constitution. And look, the amount of non-compete cases which are won by actually the people who are trying to, in this case, WWE, it's very, very rare they ever win them, even if they're paid. But they basically never win them. In fact, I've looked online, and I've not even been able to find in the last decade anyone who's won a non-compete clause when it's a year. Because that's not allowed. It's not a thing. And this is in a WWE contract. It's in a TKO contract. And it's nuts to me, Des. But I want to get your thoughts on this.
I agree. It's messy. I just don't understand how $1 billion company can mess up that bad, right? This is kind of like something, if let's say, put me, right? I'm a business guy. It makes sense because I have no knowledge of business, right? These guys are professionals. They have so much experience. I just don't understand how something like that just slips by, right? Where you see someone go into a rival company and you're like, oh, yeah, that guy? Wait a minute. He's not supposed to wrestle. And it's like, well, how was he supposed to know? You never said anything. It's such a messy situation, and it could have been avoided. Plus, 1 year, if that actually is true, which is that's bonkers. 1 entire year without pay, that's 365 days. We went from 90 days to 365. That's just going to it's almost like a blackmail in a way, because it's like you got to keep all these wrestlers in WWE where it's like, all right, you want to leave WWE? Well, you're going to have to be without a job for a year. And I think that's so messed up. And I wonder if WWE is doing this, how is AEW going to process now? Because with Ray Fennec before, right? With Penta, with Ricky Saints, Blake Monroe, all those stars that left AEW, how is it going to be now when it's to flip the other direction?
I do need to clear something up very quickly. It's only if you're fired, it's 1 year.
Okay.
If you're released normally, it's 90 days paid, which is completely allowed.
Okay.
You would think if you're fired, you're completely released from your contract, which would
exactly.
all clauses. And that's where it makes zero sense. I mean, non-competes for quite some time now have been not okay. Let's be very clear. Like, that's not a new thing. I don't think a lot of people challenge it because of the 90-day clause, generally including 3 more paychecks.
Yeah, well, it does. Right. Yeah, so, you get paid for it. Yeah. And also, if you did take it to court, it likely would take more than 3 months, and you probably wouldn't end up with pay.
Donnie's got an interesting comment here, too. Fired with cause, yes. I hear that. But then fired with cause would still not give you control over an independent contractor anymore based under the way the law has been currently written. Now, the contract may have been signed before that was the case, but I actually doubt that given the timeline. I unfortunately personally have not done I hate to admit, research to check the timeline based on when things went down, but based on what I believe to be the case, it was signed after that fact anyway, because
it was signed after the new laws which were brought in. Which is, here's the thing, it's legal to put anything like that in a contract. It's completely legal. And once you've signed it, and this, by the way, is where Andrade doesn't completely get away with everything here, right?
No.
Because Andrade didn't read his contract clearly, or at least when he left, he didn't read it.
Or somebody didn't. A lawyer didn't.
Issue.
Somebody didn't.
Yeah, exactly. It's a big, big mistake from Andrade too. There's no denying that. But the issue is, while it's legal to have it in a contract, contract, and now he has violated his contract, which is a whole other issue. But the fact is, that clause in a court of law almost certainly will be taken out. It will be voided. But what it will do, and this is, I think, why it's in there, it's not because TKO believe somebody's actually going to stay out for a year. It's because they believe, because it's a year and the amount of law stuff it'll have to go through, it will keep them out for multiple months. And that's what it's going to do here, because it's going to be a long process.